To developing news now, Toronto police are updating their investigation into a shooting this morning in the downtown core. We are going to eventually take a look at that. Here they are right now. Take a look and listen.
Thank you all for being here this morning to report on this incident. This morning, shortly after 6 a.m., officers from 52 Division responded to a call for a shooting which had occurred in front of 7 Charles Street. This location is on Charles Street, west of Yonge Street. When officers responded and attended the scene, they located 2 victims suffering from gunshot wounds, a male and a female victim, both in their 20s. Immediate aid was given to the victims by officers along with emergency medical services, and both victims were transported to nearby trauma centers where they are currently being treated and listed to be in serious but non-life-threatening condition. The investigation itself is currently active and ongoing and still very early stages of the investigation. However, what I can tell you is prior to this shooting incident, officers also responded to a call with regards to stunt driving that had been occurring on Yonge Street shortly before 6 a.m. The vehicles and occupants of the vehicles involved in this stunt driving call were also in front of 7 Charles Street at the time of this shooting incident. And there is a possibility that this incident has occurred as a result of a road rage. The suspect vehicle itself is a black SUV which traveled from Yonge Street westbound on Charles, where shots were fired in front of 7 Charles Street, and the vehicle then continued westbound towards Bay Street and northbound on Bay Street. Officers from 52 Division, the Gun and Gang Task Force, Forensic Identification Services are currently on scene, actively canvassing for witnesses, video, and evidence that they can locate to assist in solving this incident and locating the suspects. We have also spoken to and engaged the community crisis response teams that are actively engaged to assist the communities impacted by this shooting incident. I am making an appeal to the public for anyone that may have been in the area around 6 a.m. of Yonge and Charles and Bay and Charles and witnessed this incident or this black SUV that may have video, dash cam, or anything, the information they have to assist officers in solving this crime. You can contact officers at 416-808-5200, which is 52 Division, or Crime Stoppers at 222-TIPS. And is there any questions with regards to this shooting incident?
Can you confirm, was this a drive-by style shooting where they drove up this way, you said, came this way, opened fire and kept going? Is it a drive-by shooting incident?
That's correct.
Were the victims bystanders on the road, or were they actually in one of the vehicles of these road rages?
The victims themselves, I am told, were in front of number 7 Charles Street.
Bystanders? Oh, we don't know.
We don't know. Like I said, they may have been involved in the stunt driving incident as well, but that's still being actively investigated.
Do we know the relationship between the victims?
No.
So you just mentioned one vehicle, so the stunt driving, like there wasn't 2 people racing, it was just one vehicle?
With regards to the stunt driving, there were several vehicles involved, but the suspect vehicle, in relation to this shooting incident, there is one vehicle, and that is a black SUV.
So the stunt driving relation is that those cars that were seen stunt driving were parked outside these businesses on Charles Street, is that correct?
That's correct.
And there were a group of people on the sidewalk out of their cars, correct?
Yes.
And then a vehicle in a drive-by style. Is there any description of the shooter at this point?
No. So, and thank you for that. I have no description on the suspects themselves or how many for that matter, only the vehicle.
Only the vehicle. We don't know whether there was one shooter or multiple shooters?
We don't know that right now. And Forensic Identification Services is currently on scene actively processing the scene for that information that hopefully will tell us more.
Do we know at all if the suspects and the victim are known to each other? Was this a targeted shooting at all?
I don't know if they're known to each other.
Can you confirm if it was multiple shots that were fired? Tell us about that.
There is multiple shots fired, yes. But like I said, I don't know how many shooters, but multiple shots. Okay, the investigators themselves will report on this at a later time, but like I said, they're actively investigating right now, and that's all we have at this time. Thank you.
So a lot of information there from Toronto Police. Just to reiterate, this was a shooting at Yonge and Charles around 6 o'clock in the morning around Yonge and Charles, near Yorkville, just south of Yorkville by the Manulife Center. Very busy place for people to work and live as well. Multiple apartments there. They're reporting that 2 victims, a male and female in their 20s, are in serious but not life-threatening condition. Obviously, this is a very active investigation, and police adding a little bit of another wrinkle to this, saying that there was a stunt driving call shortly before this, before 6 a.m., and they say that the occupants on some of the vehicles, there are multiple vehicles involved here, were outside of their vehicle on Charles Street, and right now police are looking for a black SUV. That is the main target right now by investigators, looking for this black SUV. They say actually fired in a drive-by style shooting towards the people who are outside of their vehicles after this stunt driving incident on Charles Street. And that's where we're getting the 2 victims, the male and female in their 20s, in serious but not life-threatening condition. They say the SUV then traveled westbound on Charles towards Bay and then went north on Bay. They have no identification or any descriptors right now in terms of the shooter or shooters at this point. The Guns and Gangs unit is involved in this. They're also asking for witnesses. Again, lots of people living in that area, multiple apartments there, as well as businesses, people getting ready to go to work. So a lot of surveillance footage potentially at their disposal that they could be using in this investigation.